Welcome to the Hallmark Cafe. I'm Michael.
And I'm Diane. Come on in. Your table is ready.
Tonight, I'm gonna fall in love. Tonight, I'm gonna believe in love. Tonight, I'm gonna fall in love with you.
Welcome back to the cafe.
Well, it's been a great week. Another great week of Christmas movies.
I know.
And we're down to the last. After today, we have 2 more movies to watch.
That are new, yeah.
That are new.
Yeah, boy.
It's gone by like that.
It really has gone by just like that.
Yeah. Like
Yours
that.
sounded better than mine. Oh, wait, that's better.
People are going, what in the world are they doing?
Well, we're thinking about this movie because that happens in this movie.
Okay, anyway.
Get my attention.
I know. Well, we've got a great episode for you today, and without further ado, so this is a Dayspring movie, and this is Following Yonder Star.
Indeed it is. Following Yonder Star. See, we can sing that song.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll do harmony. Ready?
Following Yonder Star.
Wow, that was really weird. Like you were in one key and I was in another.
What star were you following? I don't know.
Something in a different key. All right, we're supposed to be
went 2 different directions.
Go ahead.
Okay, this movie was directed by Jeff Beesley, whom we really like a lot. And he's made 4 movies for Hallmark this year, and all of them really good. The writers were John Elliott Jordan and Carly Mantilla Jordan. Cinematography by Paul Suderman, and the music by Sean William. And it was edited by Chad Tremblay. And the production design, Jesse Peterson. And, of course, the costume design by Charles Botger. And I'm telling you right now, that was a nice bit of work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this week we're beginning to think of them as the Jeff Beasley players.
Yeah, and crew,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, all of them are players.
Yeah, indeed.
So,
why don't you tell us what this movie's about?
well, let me give you the recipe. Another wonderful Jeff Beasley directed movie for Dayspring. This one stars Brooke Dorsey as Abby, a beloved TV actress who stars in a long-running series called Guiding Grace. When she experiences a meltdown after receiving bad news and then being harassed by a shop clerk, she's mortified when all around her, including the clerk, pull out their iPhones or whatever phones they are and create a viral social media crucifixion.
And this could happen to anybody. It could happen to anybody at any time. You've got to be careful when you're out in public,
I'm worried when we're in private. You might have a phone out. While the media frenzy continues, Abby escapes to Vermont, where due to a booking glitch, she finds no room at the hotel. Did we mention this is a Christmas movie? It might be a theme here. Mm-hmm. The town is booked up except for one room at where, Michael?
An inn.
Yeah. A local inn because of a costume ball and a planetary event called the Christmas Star. And the Christmas Star, it's explained to us that there are 2 planets who are aligning, and it creates a every 20-year phenomena that looks like a big star.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars.
Yeah. Only people in our age group will know.
Will guide the planets.
That would be really nice.
Isn't that nice?
We could use a little peace on Earth. So the inn is run by Tom, played by John Brotherton, a single dad who teaches science and runs the inn while also directing the Christmas play. He's a very big multitasker.
He is.
When Tom realizes who Abby is, he's ultra nervous and starstruck because of her role on this Guiding Grace thing. Although she's worried that he's actually nervous because of the media frenzy, which he has not seen. He doesn't pay attention.
He's
like one of those rare people who pays no attention to social media.
Well, he's too busy trying to fix the plumbing in the inn.
Yeah, that's true. And put on a play and teach science.
Right.
And so Abby also meets several people who are at various stages of non-judgment in this morality play, which this movie is.
It is, actually.
It really showcases, this movie really showcases like the worst of human nature and the best of human nature at the same time.
It really points a finger at our culture today, the phone culture, the trying to catch people in public doing things that they can post later. That's that's a whole different world than certainly we grew up in.
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen you or I do that.
No.
Because it's not like we're perfect or anything like that, but to stomp on somebody for your own benefit, that just doesn't seem... It seems weird.
But it seems to be something that people do today.
People do. You see it all the time. So we also meet Clara, who is the concierge at the hotel that guides Abby to the inn. She's kind of an angel, actually.
Kind of like that, yeah.
She's played by Melissa Marie Much, and Zoe, played by Amanda Austin, who is Tom's sister-in-law. She's kind of feeling her way along to the non-judgment part of it. I mean, she was fine with Abby until Mia, played by
Solange Sukrum.
She came along, and she's like the worst part of human nature. She not only shares everything, but she embellishes. She has no problem embellishing on anything, just outright lying about Abby.
Yeah.
So some interesting things going on there in the judgment parade. As Abby and Tom grow closer, there are some obstacles along the way. Tom's sister-in-law, not convinced that Abby's a nice person, but as I said, she's kind of making her way, and she does come around. And she does what most people do. You might hear something, but you want to judge it for yourself. There's two ways to look at it. One is to just say, that stuff doesn't matter to me. You're a nice person. You're good. She seems to be of the mind that I'm going to listen to that, but I'm going to make my own judgment and decide whether it's true, I guess.
Right.
And decide whether it's true or not. So, and then you have Mia, who she's just going to pile on.
Yeah.
And then you also have the media. We do have a lot of kids in this one. And you and I are like kids.
Well, no, the kids.
But the kids have a big purpose.
They're putting on this play.
Yeah, they're putting on the play.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the way Beesley works with these kids and the way that the script is. I mean, I don't know. It just they're so fun and they're so funny and they're so endearing and they each have their own character.
Well, the kids kind of reminded me of the way I felt about kids when I was watching as a kid. The Charlie Brown characters, they had more of adult characteristics to them.
Yep.
And so they were
They weren't like typical
they were
precocious
just
kids.
witty enough to not be precocious kids,
Right.
but still kids. It was very nicely played.
Like any one of them by themselves might have been a little too much, but all of them together made up this great little ensemble
Right.
of unique little kids who were very funny. So, any actor character wouldn't be complete without a good manager. And of course, there's one in here. But they give this manager, instead of being so quirky and over the top or, ultra manager, this one seems kind of normal. He seems like he knows what he's doing. And even when he does something that doesn't always work out very well, he's just acting like a manager.
He doesn't seem like a stereotype, and he's played by Jacob Blair.
Yeah, and he's really good at it. So we did love this movie on so many levels, and it just really spoke to us. There was a lot to this movie.
Yeah, it did feel, it had a lot of Christmas feels, and for me, it was a really good love story.
It really was.
Yeah, the leads were so appealing and just had great chemistry with each other.
But you know what? We're going to keep our part a little bit short because we have a special surprise today.
We do.
We've got somebody who is joining us in the cafe.
Really?
And so we've got an extra chair and an extra cup of coffee, and let's just see if he's arrived yet. Hello, Jeff. Are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Hello, hi, Jeff.
It is Jeff Beesley.
It is, and we want to talk to you about Following Yonder Star.
Indeed.
Just amazing movie. We think this is your best one yet. I hope that's not insulting, but we think it was your best one.
No, I've heard that a few times today, and it certainly felt quite magical when we were making it. Sometimes these movies can be a real slog for a variety of reasons, location problems or whatever problems. And this one just was an absolute joy from the minute I got the script to the day we finished locking picture. It was just an absolute joy.
So where did you shoot this?
Winnipeg. Where else?
Where else? Okay.
But it looked like a new part of Winnipeg I hadn't seen in your movies before.
Well, I try to always, give a freshness to the locations, right? I mean, that's one of the cool things about shooting in Manitoba is that we have such amazing locations, different varieties, and everyone here still thinks film is very cool. So they're like, sure, shoot in our house, sure, shoot in our where Pine Ridge Hollow was actually a real tourist attraction outside of the city. This lady named Jan built a Main Street USA street, which has those are all the real shops, and that's actually what it looks like. And obviously it's very popular, very busy. But we found this perfect little window that was after Thanksgiving and before Christmas, where she had a week. And so we went and talked to her, and I just said, Jan, I want to shoot this. I want to call it Pine Ridge Hollow. And she was like, great, let's do it. So it was a very serendipitous meeting that turned out to be what the visual look of the film really is for the downtown.
Wow.
It was great. Sometimes we sort of complain. We don't always complain, but sometimes we feel like we're shut up in an area and you don't feel like you're anywhere. And this movie really felt like you were somewhere. You had the exteriors that felt like a real place, and all your interiors, all your location shots it just felt like we were there.
Is the church there as well?
They were all relatively close. The interior of the luxury inn is actually a dermatology clinic.
How handy.
Oh, you just destroyed my image.
I want to give a shout out to my scout, who's just absolutely phenomenal. Her name is Sherry Davey. She was a Hallmark fan who wanted to get involved in movies, and she said, I know everybody in town, and so she's always suggesting things as far as possible locations. And I forget what the first movie I did with her was, but anyway, she came on and we said, well, why don't you do a little scouting? And like this woman is a bulldog. She's tenacious. Like she will get in anywhere. She knows everybody. She doesn't take no for an answer. So she's very much my secret weapon when it comes to finding fresh locations. And because again, I really do feel it's important that all of my movies look different, especially, but I think the audience really wants to see new, fresh spots every time out.
Well, I want to ask if we can go back. When did you get this project? How long did you have it in development before you shot it?
I got the project on about the last day of shooting of Haunted Wedding. I was going to take some time off, and Jennifer Kramer called Ian Dimmerman, the producer, and said, Dayspring has another project, and is Jeff available? Because we sure like what you did with Bethlehem. And Ian answered for me and said, of course he's available. And yes, he wants to do it. Then he called and said, you're doing a movie for Dayspring. So
he's like the agent in the movie?
Yeah. He's my other agent. So anyway, they sent me the script, and it was in really good shape. Like probably the best shape of a script I've gotten in a long time. Wow. So we didn't have to do too much futzing to it. We did a little bit of polishing and punching up, and again, it was they wanted me to inject some humor and levity to it, like I did with Bethlehem. And so right off the bat, I was about, well, you got to give me some funny actors, and you got to give me some actors like Ben Ayers was in Bethlehem that we can work with, and they were being quite a coy about it. They're like, yeah, we know, and I'm like, no, but who are you thinking? And they wouldn't tell me.
So you didn't even know either.
No. It was all friendly, but it was like, you'll see. I think you'll be happy. And then when I found out they cast Brooke Dorsey, I was just like, I'm like, this is a Christmas miracle, because I worked with Brooke 20 years ago on a movie for MTV, and I've been waiting 20 years to work with her again. So it was like the greatest Christmas gift I could ever receive.
Well, I saw that she was in an episode of Corner Gas even all those years ago.
That you directed.
Yeah. Yeah. I right after everybody's doing it, she's hilarious in that. So yeah, I've worked with her twice since then. I lie. You're right.
So is that the usual thing that they don't tell you right off the bat who's going to be in it? Or they keep it kind of a secret, or they just didn't know yet?
They don't like to talk about what offers are out until the ink is wet on the contract.
Well,
so no, they normally keep it very tight-lipped, and that's okay with me.
Yeah, but you get to cast some of your, we call them the Beesley stock players at this point. You get to cast some of your people that you've had in other movies.
Yeah.
And I think we saw a couple of new faces too, but I liked the Dan's appearance at the beginning of the movie as the store clerk was just, that was wild.
Hysterical. Let's kind of go through that scene because, well, first of all, you have the opening scene, which is around the Christmas tree from the television show Guiding Grace. Yeah. And the thing that I noticed right off the bat was it looks like, okay, this is a smooth little setup and this is a movie, but it was interesting. You could see the tension between the two actors even there. Was that intentional? Because she's going on her lovely expose of, following the light. And he's like, yeah, now I'm going to go sit down. Like, wait, shouldn't there be like a kiss or some kind of intimacy? But no, he just shuts her down and goes and sits on. I noticed that, but I'm not sure if I'm right, if that was intentional.
I would like to take credit for that, but you saw something I never did. But
And
so
this
that's
is before
great.
I saw the rest of the movie. So I didn't
That's
even
great.
know that they were married at that time, or they might have been married
Yeah,
at that
no,
time.
it comes out.
So
No,
that bothered me.
it was funny because when I first showed it to my wife, she sat down to watch it and it started. And when Brooke does the swing with her hair and walks up with the cookies, she looked at me. She's like, "What did you make?" she thought it was the actual movie, not a TV show. You know? So anyway, she's like, "Oh, thank God!" Once the camera revealed that it was actually a TV show.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I was kind of like puzzled for about 5 seconds, and then I went, "Oh, I know what this is." It was just the way, because she acted it so well. Like it maybe could have gone either way.
It got your attention.
Yeah, and then when she's in the store. And Michael's right. Dan was just hysterical, and it was set up so beautifully. Where, I mean, I can just imagine the way the script was written. But she's just ordinary woman, just shopping, and then she's kind of confronted by this sort of monster fan, and treating her really badly. I mean, not willing to assume that she's a real person, that she's calling her by her character's name. And it made me think, boy, if she was a man, would he have done that? I don't know. Like it kind of, you had a lot of layers in there that really resonated with me as a woman, thinking this just really is over the top for this guy.
That was the trickiest scene in the movie to pull off because it's, like I think we talked about before, you really have to have a strong opening to these movies to keep people watching because otherwise they just go to Lifetime or Netflix or Amazon Prime. So you got to do something bold. And that scene was tricky because we had to really crescendo it into something. I wanted the audience to feel as annoyed as she was, which was, of course, someone's emotions will get heightened if they were in that circumstance, right? So, I kind of said to him, like, Dan, you got to be so passive aggressive, but at the end of it, be the most annoying person. And it's funny, right before we were about to roll, we kind of run through it a few times. That was the last scene. That was the last scene we shot of the movie, actually.
Wow.
So we saved the best for last.
Wow.
And right before we rolled, he put on those red glasses. I'd never seen them, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes!" Like that. There's the cherry on the sundae right there.
It was a great scene because it's who wants to be in that position? We could all imagine ourselves in that situation with people, because now people can bring out their phones, and all of a sudden, within minutes, you're
viral. Yeah.
Yeah. So the trick to that scene was he just has to keep turning and turning and turning the screw. And then she gets this call where she finds out her ex-husband who didn't want kids is getting remarried and is child on the way. It's funny. Also, it was very important to me. We felt we saw Adam's wife, even though she didn't say anything, but just to actually put some reality to it. She just said, "Oh, I'm getting married and my wife's pregnant." Okay. But to actually see the person, she brings him the iced tea. I just thought was just like, oh, just kind of hits home a little bit, right?
Well, and I liked also that later on in the call, he turns to look at her and she's gone, and I thought, oh, she just is like quickly in, quickly out.
When he says, and I don't think Veronica will care.
And she's not there.
Or mine.
Obviously she will. So she's looking to make sure she's
exactly. There was so much great subtlety in that. And also, I just want to say, we don't know yet that she wanted a family. We don't find that out till later. So you did a couple of those during the movie where there was a revelation of something. It's like, whoa, that puts a whole different spin on it. I love the way this movie built because of that. Because you don't know that. You think it's kind of enough that, oh, I really care about my ex and he's married and having a kid now. But then when you find out later how deep that went, it gives a lot more credence to why she totally lost it. I mean, that's like an extra added bonus, if you will, of emotion. So I thought that was great the way you did that. You didn't reveal that till they were at the fire pit, that she wanted a family.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough part. It was a tough part for Brooke, and we talked a lot about, you want to have empathy for this character, and it's very hard to have empathy for a character who looks like Brooke Dorsey and is rich like that character. It's like, oh, it's so hard to be beautiful. Boo hoo. So we had to create something where you could really feel that although it looks like she's got the world by the tail, she doesn't. She's got a lot of emotional trauma that she's working through. And this sort of journey to Vermont is just what the doctor ordered for.
And there was one last little touch you put in the scene with Dan, with the clerk. And that is when he's talking, the reporter is interviewing him, and then the camera zooms in on the reporter, and he kind of slides into the frame. Who came up with that? Was that his deal, or did you tell him to do that?
I told him to do that. I just thought it was funny. He's trying to be like the victim, but really he's just an attention hound, right?
We got
I said that is the director's touch.
100%.
Because I recognize what you're talking about by putting a bit of comedy in this movie, because there's some really hilarious parts of this movie. A lot of them with the kids. I really like the kids.
And Jonathan.
And Jonathan, of course, very funny.
Yeah.
And that really made the story come alive.
Yeah, and the pace, like I'm always about, I say pretty much after every scene, let's keep the pace up, you guys. Let's no monologues. Let's keep it going and talk like real people talk. But further to John, I mean, I really quickly realized that I've said this before. He's like today's John Ritter, like the way he can do the physical stuff and his looks, and he's a very special actor when it comes to that. And I spotted that and mined into that as much as I could. Like, when he walks into the light or he knocks over those things aren't in the script. Those are the things that he can do that, and that's really hard to do for an actor to do and make it look real. You have to be incredibly coordinated and centered, and he can do that stuff so well. So I as you can see in the movie, I really pushed him that way.
Yeah. When he hits the lamp and he said, "Oh, that's getting moved." Like,
I gotta move that. Yeah.
I gotta move that.
The stuff like where she fixes the plumbing instead of that's just good stuff. It's the humor was good, because life is filled with humor. Even when people are going through difficult times, there's humor.
Yeah, that was a runner that we put in later, that she's always referring to an episode of Guiding Grace that taught her to do something, crack eggs, fix things, and I think that's quite a funny little runner. It keeps the Hollywood mystique alive.
Excellent. Well, what I liked about that though was that there was a moment where, because I'm always looking at like the character arc, even though as little as I know about this stuff, I'm looking at how her character, at first she's like, I don't bake cookies. She comes across as saying, I don't know how to do anything. And then it's like when she cracked the egg, it was like she cracked open, that was her moment. She went, that was episode blah, blah, blah. And it was a bake off or something. And then from there, it's the fixing the plumbing, and it's, it's like she comes to own herself in a way. Like, I do know how to do all this stuff because, I'm not just an actor. I had to learn this to do it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We've recorded 2 original Christmas songs on our 2-song single, Christmas in Maine.
There's snow on the beaches and ice on the lakes, and the glow from the fire is all that it takes to warm all the love for you my heart contains. I'll always treasure Christmas in Maine. Can you hear what I hear?
That's the sound of Christmas time, ringing loud, ringing clear. All around it's Christmas time. Christmas carols and children play, all together on Christmas Day. That's the sound of Christmas time. Both of our Christmas songs are available on Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, and others to download or stream. Or visit thekillins.com to hear these songs and more of our music.
I wanted to talk about, we were talking about the way that the scenes went, and I understood more about what you were talking about as far as the beats go. Because now whenever I watch a movie, I'm thinking about what you told me about the beats. So I'm thinking there's no dull downtime in between each scene, and each scene had its own energy, but it kept moving. As you said, you just kept it moving. And I was just amazed by that. I don't think there's another single movie I've watched where that happens, except for, I don't know, maybe Santa Summit, I guess. Maybe. Yeah. But usually there's moments especially in the middle acts where nothing's really happening, and I didn't feel like that in this movie. Everything was going somewhere.
Well, that's the goal, right? I mean, you don't. I mean, when we're in editing, and this movie was, I think, I don't know, 20 some minutes long. The
Wow.
first thing we do after we take out all the breaths and all the pregnant pauses and whatnot is we go back and say, okay, so what scenes have we lifted? What doesn't change the story, or what's not advancing the story or the characters in a great way? And then it becomes obvious. It's like, well, we don't have this. That doesn't affect the A line or the B line, and so you start lifting the scenes, and everything all of a sudden becomes to. It's a matter of just getting rid of what you know doesn't need to be there, and then what's left is what has to be there, and it's the essence of the story, right?
Right. And
That's true. Well, Hallmark's doing these extended cuts now this weekend, so you could do an extended cut of this movie.
I don't think I want to do. I mean,
no, I think it's perfect. I tell you, I might like to see some outtakes from the clerk scene. There might be some. There might be something in there, but.
God, Dan, of course, Dan had a green light on the later takes, and he was singing the theme song to Guiding Grace. When she says, I haven't been on a date in years, he asks her out. Like, it just went on and on and on.
Oh my gosh. I just want to touch on, though, I mean, technically speaking, the movie was like perfect, I thought. Is there anything in there that you would have changed if you could, that when you were looking at it technically, or were you pretty secure in all the choices that were made?
No, we really, one of the things that we talked about in the beginning, the director of photography, Paul Suderman, and I, who, I've worked with on, I don't know how many movies
everything
now,
Yeah.
was Bethlehem was such a big hit, like a surprise hit. And, it's going to be tough to follow. So what are some things we can do visually? I didn't want it to be Miracle in Bethlehem 2 in a look or style. I wanted it to be something completely different and its own thing. So one of the things we talked a lot about was, thinking about it in terms that we're not creating shots, we're creating photographs. And so we put a lot of attention into how we frame the shots. And if you do watch the movie again, take note of the compositions and what's happening on. And I would say that I'm very proud that I think that if you look at it, each shot of this movie could stand as its own photograph. Mm-hmm. And, I was very much inspired by, Hallmark Hall of Fame movies, like when I watched those years ago, I'd be like, wow, these are really special. They have a different kind of glimmer and feel and a levity, or not a levity, a gravity to them that's a little more cinematic. And so that was sort of the image system I wanted to create with this, was I wanted it to be bigger and grander and thicker and just have more beauty than we normally do. And I think we were successful.
I will say that my favorite cinematic shot, and I noticed it the second time we watched it as well, was, and we talked about this, when Abby walks into a shot at the church, when she's returning to the church for the last time, and she walks from an out of focus in just very, very slowly walks into focus. There's something so devastatingly beautiful about that shot for me. I just love that.
That was nice.
Well, that was shot at 40 frames. So it's not true slow motion, but it just has a little bit of a slower exaggeration. I mean, that's one of the things you've probably seen in a lot of my movies. I love when characters walk in from wide shots into close-ups and walk into their focus as opposed to pulling with them. So that's certainly one of my tricks in my bag for sure.
Well, we saw that one, and it looked really good.
It looked beautiful. It just had so much emotion to it.
Yeah.
When you were watching it,
I liked when you're talking about the Hallmark Hall of Fame, because I used to watch those years ago when I was looking at movies, when I was wanting to get into movies, and I love those movies and the composition, the shots. In this movie, I noticed you did some really good shots, and I think she's the perfect actress for this. With Brooke, she just where she's just in her room, and you just kind of it's a profile, or you're going around her face, and she's thinking. I mean that takes the right actor to do that with, and some of those shots were beautiful.
Like when she's looking in the mirror.
Oh, Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, again, you're shooting in an 8x8 bedroom, right? So you got to find ways to be innovative and beautiful, but match the emotional level of the performer or the actor. And Brooke has some really, really nice emotional moments in this movie, like when she comes back after John tells her to not be there for the performance, and that was the thing. She was standing there looking, and I said, "Wave to the kids," because they couldn't see that she was emotional. They were at the front, and when she was waving to the kids, and she had tears streaming down her face, it was. I mean, that's a very maternal moment for
Yeah.
people, for the female audience, for sure, right? Like
Right.
she's saying goodbye to her kids and leaving.
Yeah.
They don't know she's leaving, but
Yeah.
but then of course we have to like come back to the next scene where he's a mess backstage,
Right.
and he says to the kids, "Don't worry, it's me. That's not you."
That was
These
good.
are the most
know.
mature ones there.
Well, the kids were great in this, and I thought the adult actors had a great bond with the kids, and the kids scenes. Some of them were really funny. The kid that doesn't want to, says,
Oh, I love the one who would not, turn them away from the end, because that would be mean.
very funny.
That was
No,
brilliant.
he's so good.
Another place where you blended some humor in there, where she wouldn't get off the stage. That was. Was that something that was in the script, or did you come up with that idea? No, I guess we're not getting off now. Like.
Oh no, that was all Brooke. I mean, that was kind of in the script that they wouldn't get off, but all the little ad libs and stuff, that was Brooke for sure.
Little known fact, I actually was that little girl in my old Sunday school. I had to give that angel speech. Only I didn't have
nice.
the New Age words. I had to actually read what was in the King James version and memorize that. But I did. I think I was 10, but I did. I remember that clearly. I was terrified. But and then the other actress that
she's off book.
Yeah, she's off book.
Yeah.
She was great.
And we have to mention that dress that Brooke's
the My
wear,
Fair
the
Lady dress. Wow.
the My
Okay.
Fair Lady dress.
Whose idea was that? That was stunning.
Yeah, that dress was a topic of big discussion and finding the right one, because we wanted to be somewhat true to the My Fair Lady dress, but also it's Brooke Dorsey. We want to put her in something that's like, wow, because it's not just the reveal of the dress, but it's the dance sequence that follows and the scene at the end. So we tried to find kind of a hybrid that worked, but that was interesting because I love the look of those scenes at night when she comes out in the dress, but we put a treatment on the windows that has kind of an ice effect. And then we put all these, if you look back there, it's the ugliest thing you ever saw. It's just Christmas tree after Christmas tree lit up, but through the window, it just has this like mosaic of lights and Christmas magic that really works. So that's one of my favorite shots. Actually,
magic.
the wide shot when they come running in is really good too.
I love that shot. I noticed that this
It was
morning.
nice.
I said, boy, that's one of my favorite setups that you had. It just looked beautiful, almost a silhouette with up against the sparkly, that was really cool. You could use that in a thriller too, actually.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to be like very childlike, like two kids sneaking in and getting something they're not supposed to, but
And
have a little bit of fun with it.
I liked a couple other things. I liked the fact that, as I said, you did this a few times where you didn't reveal something until it was time to reveal it, like revealing that the young girl was his daughter.
Oh yeah.
It was like, whoa,
That was nice.
That
took me by surprise.
Yeah, and
that was an act out too, so that worked out.
Yeah, and it kind of made us feel like we were going along the ride with Abby. There was something about that. And as far as the story goes, though, I mean, it's a pretty current, relevant story that, we talked about this, about people being sort of vultures about, and not just in these days, not just actors, but with each other. There's a sense of proprietary feeling from people that says, I can be mean to you, or I can say something online that's really cruel, and hey, what do I care? And this movie really touched on that in a really heartfelt way, and you saw all the layers of this with like Mia and who played the sister?
Zoe.
Was that Zoe? Yeah. And then with Melissa's character.
That's what it's about. I mean, very much is a comment on somewhat on cancel culture and how quickly people are just waiting to get people and gotcha and you're out.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter all the good things you've done. You have one falter in your life. And I'm not saying that some people deserve to be canceled, but something like what Abby went through is certainly, not worthy of what she went through. Right. And you're right. There is a lot of judgment in the movie, but everyone who does certainly, pays their share in the end.
And they're kind of, it's like the journey, but you see everything exemplified in that, if you're a viewer watching it, which person are you resonating with? And if you're resonating with Mia, you might want to think about what you're doing, because you'd rather resonate with Clara and with Tom. because they kind of have it right. You just meet people where they're at and have a little bit of kindness in your soul. So
well, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the world where like gossip and talking down or talking about people is their commodity. That's what they trade in all the time, and it's gross.
I think in this movie, the bad guys, they weren't really the press. It wasn't really the manager who's the bad guy. It was really the people ourselves were the bad guy.
Yeah.
We're the ones that we're responsible
that.
for starting that kind of rumor, that kind of attack on people. Was all generated by people with their phones and their ability to do that. So I thought that's a whole different take on the way society has changed. And I thought this movie, that was one of the messages, and it came across loud and clear to me. I thought, whoa, this is really addressing this
without being preachy or didactic.
What else I love about it is that, you know, the inn's not in trouble, or the play is not in jeopardy. Like, it's all happening. Like, it's
right.
He's fuddling through it, but she's not going there to save anything except herself. And he's trying to save him. They're saving each other is really what happens in this story, as opposed to we got to save the inn, we're out of money, you know. Right. And I love that it's very internal and very personal what they mean to each other.
That's a really good point too. That's excellent.
I will say one of the funniest scenes was how you sort of, and I have to ask you if you did this on purpose. Of course you did. The interrupted kiss over and over again, because we were always sitting there going, "Oh, for God's sake! So what if the phone rang? Go back and kiss her." And you actually did that, but then you got interrupted again and again, and it was just hysterical. It was such a funny moment.
There was a time when at Hallmark they were like, "No interrupted kisses. We hate that." And then that kind of went away. And then I said, "Well, let's go the other way. Let's put as many as we can." So we have the old lady, we have the phone, we have the kid. Like it was kind of it was a bit wink at ourselves.
It really was. And I think the thing that really made it happen was Jonathan's face.
Oh yeah, that shot when he turns and looks up at her. Yeah.
Well,
funny.
When he at one point, I think it was the snow globe scene at the end where he just turned and he just kind of rolls his eyes.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was kind of letting us in on it, which was good. And of course, in the movie, there were a couple of horses. We always like horses.
Yeah, a couple of Clydesdales, it looked like. Yeah,
that was nice. And that was a nice scene. And I like the inclusion of him talking about, he was a science teacher, and talking about the science of things. And that kind of was a neat thing to blend those two things together in this movie.
Faith and science, yeah.
That was a good bit of writing. So I like that.
Yep. I can't take credit for that. That's the writers, but
it was nice. It was very nice. Mm-hmm. And I guess lastly for me I thought the score was very good. I always like a good score. The music was good.
Yeah. Sometimes the score just becomes so much. And I love that this one, it just kind of like stays out of the way. It helps when it needs to, but overall it's just, it's not in the way at all.
Exactly. It certainly wasn't bombastic. It was nice. I liked it a lot. So
now the Jennifer Hudson song, was that sort of
two of them.
Well, the one at the dance.
Oh, the
I'm
dance.
Thinking of, so was that something? How does that work? You've got a really big artist, and they are going to have a song in the movie. Is it up to you where it's placed, or how it works in? Do you know ahead of time that's going to happen?
Hallmark said that they had a deal with Jennifer, and they wanted to play some songs, and so they sent the album and said, open to some suggestions on what you like and where something could fit. And Find the Love we really liked and thought it could work with the dance scene, and so that was approved. So that was actually played at the scene when they were dancing, like they were dancing to that song.
Oh, so
it wasn't
that was good.
Something we dropped in later. Yeah.
So that made it more genuine. Yeah, I wondered that because sometimes that doesn't happen. So that was nice that they got to hear the song. Yeah.
And that was quite a dance move.
Yeah,
they pulled when he dipped her. It was really good. Well, I just want to say this was one of our favorite movies of the year. I think it's in my top.
I think
5.
For me, I was trying to say earlier, it's a Dayspring movie, but actually, it's one of the best love stories of the season. Mm-hmm. This was we've watched all of these Christmas movies as we do, and I think this was the best love story.
I think so.
It was the most believable. Really got to me. I thought any movie you see and you'd like to know those people is always a good thing. So, I'd like to know those characters. Great. And so I thought the love story in this was really good and mixed into all the Christmas and everything else. That still shone through. So to me, that was successful.
Oh, thank you. No, I love the movie and I love the characters, and I kind of have to. I don't really want to think about that it's all over because it just was such a wonderful process the whole way through.
So now
Yeah,
you've got. So now the new year's coming along. You don't know what you're going to be doing yet, but you'll be doing something.
I'll be doing something.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to a little bit of time off with the family and actually enjoy the real Christmas season and not shooting one. And I'll come back in the new year. I'm working on some new stuff and see what we'll see what comes out of the. We'll see what comes up first.
All right. And as
I'm sure
usual,
it'll be something exciting.
we promise that we're going to come bug you in person one day.
That's right.
Probably in the winter. Cheaper
You
plane
have an
tickets.
open invite.
Well, and congratulations on all the movies you did this year. You really you worked hard.
You really did.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you
maybe-
for watching, and I really appreciate you guys and all you do for the channel and for all the filmmakers and actors. It's a real service, so thank you so much.
You are certainly welcome.
And we just really appreciate you. And we will talk
Thank
to you
you.
again down the road.
We will indeed. Take care.
So that was amazing. I just, every time any director comes and sits with us, but especially Jeff Beesley, we learn so much.
We do. He's a great director, and we love the behind-the-scenes stuff. We hope you guys love the behind-the-scenes stuff, too. And
We like to feel like we're there.
He's always willing to share his process, which is really, really great.
Yeah, he and Peter Benson, the same thing. They're so willing to share their skills, their outlooks, their insights. It's just amazing.
They love what they do.
Yep, and we love what they do too.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed that. We enjoyed this movie. Again, we recommend following Yonder Star. Really one of the better movies of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we want you to please follow us on Instagram and share us with your friends. We'd like to be shared.
Exactly. And we got the old Facebook group is going. We've got the Blue Sky connection. We have the music by thekillins.com. We're going to wrap up this Christmas season shortly, and then we'll see what's going to happen for the new year coming.
We have 2 movies left. Will any of them make the menu? We don't know.
Anyway, so that does it for this edition of the Hallmark Cafe.
Where love is always on the menu.
Hallmark Cafe is a copyrighted program produced by High Horse Productions. Our theme song was written and performed by Diane Killen, and the Hallmark Cafe illustration was created by Daniel Killen. Be sure to find Hallmark Cafe on Instagram and check out our Facebook group.